When diplomacy ends, war begins. Wars have always been an inevitable part of human history. What makes war spirited is indeed weaponry, and if freedom is short of weapons, we must compensate with willpower. But the fact is that there isn't a shortage of weapons, with countries fighting to develop new and advanced armories as part of their unceasing rivalry. The M142 HIMARS rocket launcher is one such piece of equipment. In this video, we'll see why this launcher is so effective on the battlefield. The M142 HIMARS is a multiple rocket launcher that was initially developed in the 1990s for the US Army. The word HIMARS stands for High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. This piece of the armory is so efficient that it can carry one pod with either 6 GMLRS rockets or one ATA-CMS missile. The M142 HIMARS is based on the US Army's FMTV 5-ton truck, and it can be transported by Airbus A400M Atlas and Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft. As we get into the launcher's development, it was in 1982 when the requirement for the HIMARS was initially addressed. The 9th Infantry Division needed a light multiple rocket launcher as a counter-fire asset, but their idea wasn't implemented because they failed to gather enough support from the Field Artillery School. Gradually, with the diminishing of the Cold War and the surging interest in low-intensity operations, the M270 MLRS was considered to be too heavy for rapid deployment. This led to the push for the funding of HIMARS. Then came the Gulf War, which led to a further inducement for a lightweight MLRS. And in April 1991, the HIMARS concept was tested at White Sands Missile Range using a modified Honest John launcher. When it comes to design, the HIMARS is quite similar to the M270 multiple launch rocket system. One thing that sets them apart is that HIMARS is a wheeled vehicle, whereas the M270 is a tracked vehicle. The HIMARS comes with an ammunition pod, which is quite similar to the two pods seen in the M270. It also has windows that are made out of sheets of sapphire, which are then laminated with glass and polycarbonate. The HIMARS is a highly efficient device that could be operated even on ships to deliver precision fire from a standoff range against shore defenses. Its targeting software was further reworked so that it could fire with more accuracy while it's on a launch platform that's in motion. The M142 HIMARS is manufactured by Lockheed Martin and BAE Systems. The M142 has a weight of 24,000 pounds, a length of 23 feet, a width of 8 feet, and a height of 10.5 feet. The launcher has a capacity of 3 crew members, and the maximum rate of firing is limited to 6 rockets. When it comes to the maximum and operational range of the launcher, it's 450 kilometers and 300 kilometers respectively. It has a speed of 53 miles per hour, and it was also tested as a unified launch system for both artillery rockets and the SLAM-RAM, which is the surface-launched variant of the AMRAAM anti-aircraft missile. It uses a Caterpillar 3116 attack 6.6-liter diesel engine and has extremely high accuracy. The HIMARS is not just an efficient weapon, but also a lethal one. It was in February 2010 when the International Security Assistance Force for Afghanistan indicated that 2 rockets that were fired from a HIMARS killed 12 civilians during Operation Mashtarak. The HIMARS has been used by the armed forces of several countries across the globe, including the US, which deployed not 1, but at least 400 rockets to Iraq. The detachments were sent to Al-Assad Air Base and Al-Taqadum Air Base in Al-Anbar Governorate. The army also fired rockets into Syria in support of the Syrian rebels who were fighting ISIL. The army fired it from launchers that were based in Jordan. The HIMARS is well known for being an efficient player in the arms sector, and in January 2016, Lockheed announced that the HIMARS had just crossed a milestone of 1 million operational hours with the US forces and had also achieved a 99% operational readiness rate. There was a plethora of incidents when the US Armed Forces had to deploy the HIMARS, and these incidents increased in numbers as days passed. In June 2017, a HIMARS was deployed at Al-Tanf in Syria, and this was intended to support US-backed rebels in the area. On the 24th of May 2018, a HIMARS in Musa Qala, Afghanistan, killed 50 Taliban fighters and leaders. In September 2018, when the US support forces coordinated with the Syrian Democratic Forces to defeat ISIS in East Syria in the Deir ez-Zor campaign, they struck ISIS positions with GMLRS rockets 30 times every day. HIMARS were also a part of this operation, and they were located in the Omar oil fields, which was about 16 miles north of the ISIS-controlled targets. The usage of the HIMARS continues even today with the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war. It was on June 1, 2022 that the US announced that it would supply 4 HIMARS to Ukraine equipped with M31 GMLRS unitary rockets. On June 25, 2022, Ukraine commenced deploying the system against the Russian forces. Valery Zaluzhny, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, said, "Artillerymen of the Armed Forces of Ukraine hit military targets of the enemy on our Ukrainian territory." The HIMARS proved to be a powerful blow against the Russian base in Izium, taking the lives of over 40 soldiers. According to a US defense official, Ukraine had been using them to destroy the Russian command posts. The official said selecting targets and then accurately hitting them, degrading Russian capability. The M142 HIMARS had become one of the most integral pieces of armory when it came to Ukraine, and it was evident on July 18th when Zaluzhny said, "An important factor contributing to our retention of defensive lines and positions is the timely arrival of M142 HIMARS, which delivers surgical strikes on enemy control posts, ammunition, and fuel storage depots." The HIMARS being such a lethal launcher was restricted for use in Russian territory since the US did not want Ukraine to escalate the conflict. General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said, "We're seeing real and measurable gains from Ukraine in the use of these systems." For example, the Ukrainians have struck over 400 targets with the HIMARS, and they've had devastating effect. It was in May 2005 when the 3rd Battalion, 27th Field Artillery Regiment, 17 Airborne Corps Artillery became the first unit equipped with HIMARS. The HIMARS has seen exceedingly impressive progress as it's fielded 11 additional battalions in both active and National Guard units. The Army also plans to field an additional 6 battalions. The HIMARS has expanded its presence globally and has also begun to serve in the international market, including countries such as Jordan, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates. So what do you think? Is the M142 HIMARS the baddest machine on the battlefield? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.